I'm going to go ahead. All right, so adding fractions with unlike denominators. So here is our objective for today. Okay, by the end of the class, you're going to be able to simplify fractions by dividing. Okay, simplify fractions by dividing, and you're going to be able to find the least common denominator of two fractions by using least common multiples. What's a multiple?
When you multiply things together.
When you multiply things together. Okay, so if I said I want you to find multiples of 5, what would those be? Those are factors. I want the multiples. The multiples are your answers. So if I do 1 times 5, I would get what? 2 times 5?
10.
3 times 5?
20.
And so on and so forth. These are your multiples. Okay? So when you multiply things together, your answers are your multiples. Okay? All right. So there at the bottom are your standards. I don't expect you to know those. They don't make a whole lot of sense most of the time. Okay? But pretty much what they say is you're going to be able to add and subtract fractions that have unlike denominators. You're going to be able to answer word problems that have fractions with unlike denominators. Okay? All right. So let's start sums in simplest form. So we're going to simplify these numbers. Okay? What did I tell you simplify means again?
Make it easier.
Make it easier, or we're going to break it down as far as we can until we can't go anymore. Okay? So here's what I want you to write. I want you to write this top line here on your paper. Just the numbers. You don't have to write the word sum. Okay? So you're going to write 9/12, 18/45, 14/30, and 14/16. Okay, now, a lot of the times when you're dealing with fractions, you may get an answer, but it may not be in simplest form. So you have to turn it into simplest form, or like the ACT Aspire or other tests and things will count it wrong. Okay, so this is super duper important. Okay, now, so let's start. Let's start with 9/12. Is there a number that will go into both of these numbers, both 9 and 12? 3, right? Because I know 9 times what is, no, said it backwards. 3 times what is 9? 3 times what is 12? Okay, so I know that 3 goes into both of those numbers. So what I'm going to do, what do I do with my marker? Right here. Okay, so my objective was I'm going to be able to simplify fractions by dividing. So I'm going to divide both of these by 3.
Do I need to write them?
You need to write exactly what I'm writing. Okay, so I know that I can divide both of those by 3. And when I do, 9 divided by 3 is what? 12 divided by 3 is what?
4.
Can I go any farther?
No.
Can I do anything else to that? No. So that's my answer. So if you'll look up here, see those boxes on the bottom?
Yeah.
Those are answers.
I see.
So we're going to do the top line together, and then once we're done, you're going to do the bottom part by yourself. But it's drag and drop. You don't have to type anything. You don't have to worry about that. So what you would do, I would find my 3/4, which is right here, and I'm going to move it over to my answer. Okay? All right, let's look at 18/45. This one might be a little bit harder. 18/45. Okay, let's think about it. Jackson? Is it 3? We'll write 3 over here. 3 might be an That doesn't look very good.
That was
Okay, we're gonna write 3 over here. Okay, that's an option. Colin, what do you think?
9.
Colin thinks 9. Okay. Madison, was that your answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
4.
Blaine,
6.
does 6 go into 45? No.
4.
Okay. Now, so we have 2 options here. We have 3 or 9. Now, you're going to use the bigger of the 2. That way you don't have to do it multiple times. Okay? So, 9 is bigger than 3, right? Okay. So, we're going to divide both numbers by 9. Okay. So, 18 divided by 9 gives me what? 2. What about 45 divided by 9? Is there anything that will go into those numbers evenly? 2 and 5? No. Do you see 2/5 at the bottom up here of my page? Yeah. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to move it. You did. Okay. All right. Let's go to our next one. 14/30. Huh. Okay, let's think.
4.
Numbers that will go into both of these numbers evenly.
2.
Okay, Luke says 2. Anybody have another one?
Nope. 5.
Does 5 go into 14?
No.
We can't think of anything else, right? So what are we going to divide by?
2.
2. Sometimes you may just divide by 2. You may have to do it multiple times, but if both of your numbers are even, you can always divide by 2. Okay? All right, so if we divide by 2, 14 divided by 2 gives me what? 30 divided by 2 gives me what? Will anything else go into those 2 numbers evenly? No. Do we see 7/15 at the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here. So we're going to move it.
This is easier than I thought.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting there. Okay? Last one on this row is 14/16. Well, what do you notice about those 2 numbers right off the bat? They're both even, so I know if they're both even, I can divide by what? 2. Is there anything else? Any other number that will go into both of those numbers evenly? No. So I'm going to do 2 again. So I'm going to divide by 2. And divide by 2. So 14 divided by 2 gives me what? 7. 16 divided by 2?
8.
7/8. Do we see 7/8 at the bottom? Yeah, it's right here. So I'm going to move it. Now, here in a little bit, when I let you loose, you're going to do the bottom part on your own.
Yep.
But you already have the answers to the top part, so you know which answers not to use. You know which answers you're going to have left. Okay? What? Yeah, close it. Okay? So simplifying fractions. You may have any questions about that? Not too terribly difficult, right? It gets harder after, like, let's say you've added some fractions together and then you look at it. Then you have to decide whether you need to simplify or not. Okay? All right. So we're going to move on to least common denominators. Okay? Now, it may look a little more challenging than it actually is. Okay? So, and you will not do it this way forever. This is just so at the beginning you know what's going on. Okay? So, if we look here at this first one, they did part of the work for us. Okay? I don't want blue. I want black. Nope, that's not what I want. Okay. So if you look, our first number they give us is 2/3 plus 1/4. So I want you to write that down on your paper. 2/3 plus 1/4. Okay. If you want to write least common denominator above it or LCD, you can do that too. Least common denominator or LCD. Okay. You'll see both on things that we're going to do.
I can never draw it.
Nope. Okay, now what they did is they took the number 3 and the number 4 and they wrote down multiples of those two numbers. Okay, so for 3, if you see right here, they did 3, 6, 9, 12. On 4, they did 4, 8, 12. The first number that matches is your least common denominator. What else could I have done differently instead of writing all those numbers down?
Multiply them until you got the same answer.
I could have just multiplied these two numbers together and still got 12. That will not always work though. Okay?
So you're not always.
It will not always work, but it works most of the time. Okay? So let's look at this next one where it says 3/8 plus 1/12. So I want you to write that down. 3/8 plus 1/12. I'm going to delete this because I don't want it there. Delete. Delete. Okay, so we're going to go for 8. All right, so 8 times 1 is what? 8 times 2? 8 times 3? 8 times 4? 8 times 5? 40. Okay, I'm just going to go to 5. Okay, so let's think about 12. 12 times 1 is what? 12 times 2? 24.
Oh, that's a less that I'm thinking of.
Okay, 12 times 3? 12 times 4? 12 times 5? What is the smallest number I have that is in both lines? 24. So my least common denominator is 24. Now, those two denominators, did they multiply those together? Definitely not, because 12 times 8 is not 24. Okay? All right. So, let's keep going. If I can get my stuff together here. Nope, I didn't want to paste. Okay, so. Oh man, I deleted my stuff.
You're not doing Command Z?
There it is. Okay.
It's on an iPad.
It's on an
Yeah,
iPad,
but
dude.
don't you have the same things as you would on a keyboard on that little?
No.
Not always, no. Not always that simple. Okay, so let's look at. Let me move my 12 back up here. Maybe that'll jog my memory. Okay, so now we have 1/7 plus 5/6. Okay, 1/7 plus 5/6. So we're going to do our multiples. So 7 times 1 would be what? Times 2? Times 3? Times 4? Times 5? Okay, 6 times 1? Times 2? Times 3? Times 4? Times 5? Do I have anything that matches? So I need to go more. 7 times 6 is what? And 6 times 7? Okay, so 36 and then 42. So 42 is my answer here. Okay, those two I could have multiplied together. All right, now I've already used this one and this one. So what does my least common denominator for the last one have to be? 20. They did that by multiplying. Okay, so 3 out of the 4, you could just multiply your denominators. Now, could you do that anyways on every single problem? Yeah. Yeah, you can. You'll just have to simplify at the end. Okay? So if you're more comfortable with simplifying than finding least common denominators, simplify at the end. Do whichever one you are more confident with.
Whatever pops in my head.
Okay?
We're gonna have an interactive number.
Okay. Now, Isaac says that my least common denominator is 10. Okay, so let's look at our multiples of 2. So 2 times 1 is what? Times
4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
We're just going to go that far, okay? 5 times 1 times 2.
10.
Oh, I don't have to go any farther. There they are.
That's what I did.
Okay?
I just multiplied.
So you could just multiply on that one.
And I just knew from
Okay.
mine.
All right. So let's go down to 3/10 plus 5/12. 3/10 plus 5/12. So write that down on your paper. Work it out. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to work that one out. We're not talking about it yet. This one's a little harder than the last one. Might take a little more calculating.
For you.
Okay, once you're done, put your pencil down so I know you're finished. Let's talk about how we got 60. We obviously did not multiply 10 and 12. That's not 60. Okay, so we're going to have to look at our multiples. 10 times 1? 2?
20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100.
Okay, we're going to stop at 60 because we already know it's 60. Okay, let's look at 12. 12 times 1? 24. 60. There it is. Sometimes it's going to be a higher number. That's okay. That's okay if it's a higher number.
Is that like a high something?
Yeah, on this one. Yeah. Okay? If you have not written that stuff down, you might want to write it down.
Right, what? The numbers?
Okay, so you will have 2 left to do on that slide. That's why I'm telling you to write this stuff down. Okay, let's go on. This one is drag and drop again. Okay, so we're going to do the first line together. And then you're going to do the bottom line. If you notice this time, it has no room for you to write multiples. It's the same thing though. You can write them down somewhere else. You can write it on your paper. You can write it on scratch paper. But this time, it just looks a little bit different. Okay? So, let's look at the first one. We have 2/3 plus 1/4. So, we have 3 and 4. We think it's 12? Everybody agree? Why do we think it's 12? 3 times 4 is 12. 3, 6, 9, 12. 4, 8, 12. So all we have to do is multiply those. So I'm going to, well, nope. I'm going to drag and drop. No, I'm not. Come on, work with me here. Oh, gosh.
I think it's betraying me.
It doesn't like me. It doesn't like. Ah!
I knew it was gonna betray you someday. I didn't know it would be.
All right. So there we go. I moved it. There we go. 12. All right. Let's look at the next one. 5/8 plus 1/6. 5/8 plus 1/6. So let's think about that one. Let's think about it. So if, I'm just going to add another. Okay. So I have 5/8. And what was it? 1/6? 1/6. Okay. So now I need to figure out what I'm going to have. So I have 8, multiples of 8, and multiples of 6. So 8, 16, 24, 6, 12, 18, 24. So my answer is what? 24. Let's look at the next one. 1/2 plus 3/7. 14. Some of them you can just look at them and you know. How about the next one? 2/5 plus 7/8. 40. Okay? The last 4 will be for you to do on your own. Okay? The last 4 will be for you to do on your own. Okay?